The champagne flute hit the marble floor and shattered into 1,000 pieces. Ashley George's hands were shaking. Not from the accident, but from what Viviana Reese had just said loud enough for the entire rehearsal dinner to hear. Well, at least she won't need to learn how to use the fine china. Mark can just buy her plastic. The laughter cut deeper than the broken glass. Mark's hand was on her shoulder, but it felt like a weight, not comfort. He leaned close, his breath hot against her ear. Just ignore her. You know how she is. That was the problem. Ashley did know. And she was about to marry into this family anyway. What none of them knew, what Ashley herself had only learned 3 hours ago, was that in exactly 18 hours, a man would walk through the church doors. A man Viviana had spent the entire evening mocking Ashley for not having. Her father. And Viviana Reese was about to learn what real money looked like. Before we get into what happened, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and hit subscribe so you don't miss how this ends. You're not going to believe what happens at that church. 24 hours earlier, Ashley stood in her hotel bathroom, staring at herself in the mirror. The rehearsal was in 3 hours. The wedding was tomorrow. Everything was already in motion. Her phone was on the counter, still open to the email she'd received that morning. Subject: Your wedding. From Andrew Archer, Executive Assistant to Joseph Guzman. Miss George, Mr. Guzman requests your presence at the Mandarin Oriental, Suite 4701, at 2 p.m. today. This concerns your wedding tomorrow. The matter is urgent. Andrew Archer. Ashley had stared at that name for 20 minutes. Joseph Guzman. Her father. The man who'd left when she was 7 and never came back. Baby, you okay in there? Her mother's voice came through the door. Ashley opened it. Linda George stood in the doorway, already dressed for the rehearsal. But her face went pale when she saw Ashley's expression. What happened? Ashley held up the phone. Linda read it, then sat down on the edge of the bathtub very slowly. He can't, Linda whispered. We had an agreement. He wasn't supposed to contact you until you were 30. Well, apparently he changed his mind. Ashley, you don't have to go. But Ashley was already reaching for her purse. The suite at the Mandarin Oriental was bigger than Ashley's apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Furniture that probably cost more than her car. A man in his 30s opened the door. Sharp suit, sharper eyes, tablet in hand. Miss George, I'm Andrew Archer. Mr. Guzman is expecting you. The man sitting by the window stood when she entered. Joseph Guzman was 54, but he could pass for 40. Tall, broad shoulders, salt and pepper hair, eyes the exact shade of green as Ashley's. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. You look like your mother, he said finally. You look like someone who left. Something flickered in his expression. Pain, maybe, or respect. I did. And I'm not here to explain that or apologize or ask for forgiveness. He gestured to the chair across from him. I'm here because you're about to make a mistake, and I have information you need. What are you talking about? He slid a folder across the table. Ashley opened it. Financial records, background checks, photos. Mark Chandler, her fiancé. $2 million in gambling debts, Joseph said. His mother's been covering them, but she cut him off 6 months ago, right around the time he proposed to you. Ashley's hands went numb. The prenup his mother mentioned last week? It's real. It protects her money and ensures you get nothing if the marriage ends. Mark's not a partner at Beckham's firm. He's an associate who's been passed over 3 times. His mother pays his rent, his car lease, everything. How do you? Because I've spent the last 3 weeks having him investigated. Andrew flagged some concerns about your engagement announcement online. So I looked deeper. Joseph's voice was flat, professional. You're not marrying a successful attorney, Ashley. You're marrying a bankrupt man whose mother thinks you're controllable enough to keep quiet about it. Ashley stared at the documents. Numbers, dates, evidence. Why should I believe you? Because you already do. Joseph's eyes held hers. You've known something was wrong for months. You just didn't have proof. He pulled out his phone and pressed play. Viviana's voice filled the room, crystal clear. The girl is perfect. Really? Sweet, naive, grateful. She'll never question Mark. Never demand more than we're willing to give. And when he inevitably disappoints her, and he will, she won't have the resources to make divorce difficult. Ashley felt sick. Joseph turned off the recording. You don't have to marry him. You don't have to go through with any of this. And what? Just embarrass myself in front of everyone. Cancel at the last minute. Better than spending the next 5 years being humiliated in private. Ashley stood up. The room felt too small, too warm. Why now? Why show up after 21 years now? Because you needed me now. That's not. I'm not asking you to forgive me for leaving. I'm not asking for anything. His voice was steady, certain. I'm giving you information. What you do with it is your choice. Ashley looked at him. This stranger. This father. I need to think. The rehearsal is in 2 hours. Tomorrow I'll be at the church. Front row. Whether you walk down that aisle or not, I'll be there. The rehearsal dinner was exactly as awful as Ashley remembered when the champagne glass broke. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was sitting across from Mark, watching him laugh at his mother's jokes about Ashley's thrift store chic and her public school charm, and realizing Joseph was right. She'd known for months. The late-night phone calls Mark wouldn't explain. The way he flinched whenever money came up. The prenup conversation that came out of nowhere. She'd ignored it all because she wanted to believe in the fairy tale. After the glass shattered, Ashley excused herself. Mark didn't follow. She stood on the terrace of the Spencer estate, overlooking the manicured gardens and infinite pool, and pulled out her phone. One missed call. Joseph Guzman. She called back. I want to know one thing, Ashley said when he answered. If I walk away tomorrow, if I don't marry him, what happens to me? What do you mean? I mean, do you swoop in and take over my life? Pay my bills? Control my decisions? Because I don't need another Viviana. Silence on the other end. Then, no. If you walk away, you go back to your life. Your apartment. Your job. Your choices. I'm not here to rescue you, Ashley. I'm here to make sure you know you have options. And if I go through with it, then I go back to staying out of your life. But I'll be watching. And if Mark or his mother ever cross a line, I'll handle it. Ashley closed her eyes. I'll see you tomorrow. The wedding day. Ashley's hotel room. 11 a.m. 4 hours until the ceremony. She sat on the bed in her robe, staring at her wedding dress hanging in the closet. Linda sat beside her, quiet. What do I do, Mom? Baby girl. I can't answer that for you. Yes, you can. You always do. Linda smiled sadly. Not this time. This one's yours. Ashley's phone buzzed. Mark. Hey. Can we talk before the ceremony? Just us? She typed back, sure. Meet me at the church in an hour. The church was empty when Ashley arrived. Mark was waiting in one of the side rooms, pacing. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes. Wrinkled shirt. Thank you for coming early, he said. I know yesterday was rough. Your mother called me middle-class plastic, Mark. I know. I'm sorry. After we're married, it'll be different. We'll move to the city. Get some distance. How much do you owe? Mark froze. What? How much money do you owe? His face went white. Ashley, I don't know what you... Don't lie to me. Not today. Mark sat down heavily. For a long moment he said nothing. Then 2 million. Give or take. Gambling. How did you... He looked up sharply. Who told you? Does it matter? Ashley, I'm getting it under control. My mother agreed to cover it if I... He stopped. If you what, Mark? If you married someone she approved of? Someone who wouldn't ask questions. His silence was answer enough. Ashley pulled off her engagement ring. Set it on the table between them. I'm not marrying you. Ashley, please. If I don't go through with this, my mother will. Your mother will what? Cut you off? Maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. You don't understand. I'll lose everything. No, Ashley said quietly. You already lost everything. You just don't know it yet. She walked out. The church, 3 p.m. The sanctuary was packed. 300 guests in their designer clothes and judgment. Ashley stood in the bridal suite, looking at herself in the mirror. She was fully dressed. Hair done. Makeup perfect. She looked like a bride. She felt like a stranger. Linda appeared in the doorway. Everyone's seated. The officiant is ready. Where's Mark? I don't know, baby. No one's seen him in the last hour. Because he was probably still sitting in that room, holding her ring, realizing it was over. There was a knock at the door. Andrew Archer stepped inside. Miss George, Mr. Guzman is here. He'd like to speak with you. Ashley looked at her mother. Linda nodded. Joseph was waiting in the hallway. He wasn't wearing a tux, just a perfectly tailored dark suit. Like he'd dressed for business, not a wedding. I heard you talk to Mark. How did you? I have someone watching the church, making sure he doesn't try to talk you into changing your mind. That's invasive. It's protective. There's a difference. Ashley studied her father's face. Why are you really here? Because 21 years ago, I made a choice to stay out of your life. And yesterday, I realized that sometimes staying out of someone's life is just another way of failing them. So you're here to, what? Make up for lost time? No. I'm here because you're my daughter, and I won't let anyone treat you as less than you are. And what am I, according to you? Joseph smiled. It was the first time she'd seen him smile. You're extraordinary, and you're about to prove it. Andrew whispered something in Joseph's ear. Mark just entered the sanctuary, Joseph said. You have about 3 minutes to decide. Walk down that aisle or walk out the back door. Either way, I'll be there. Ashley looked at her wedding dress, at the flowers in her hands, at the life she'd been about to choose. Then she looked at her father. If I walk out there, I want you with me. To give you away? No. To stand with me. The music started. The doors opened. 300 people turned to look. Ashley walked down the aisle. But she wasn't walking toward Mark. She was walking toward the entire congregation. Joseph was beside her. Linda on her other side. When they reached the front, Ashley didn't stop at the altar. She turned to face everyone. Mark stood at the altar, confused. Viviana was in the front row, already half standing. There's not going to be a wedding today, Ashley said. The gasp that went through the church was audible. Viviana stood fully now. What are you talking about? Mark, what is she? Mrs. Reese, Joseph said calmly. Sit down. Who the hell are you? I'm Joseph Guzman, Ashley's father. The recognition rippled through the crowd like a wave. Viviana's face went from confusion to recognition to absolute horror. Mr. Guzman. We didn't know Ashley's father would be. That's because Ashley didn't know herself until yesterday. Joseph's voice carried through the church, calm and absolute. I've spent the last 3 weeks investigating your family, Mrs. Reese. I know about your son's debts. I know about your plan to use my daughter as a solution to your family's financial embarrassment. And I know exactly what you said about her at your country club last Tuesday. Viviana went pale. Joseph turned to address the entire church. For those of you who don't know me, I own Guzman Industries. My net worth is approximately $43 billion. I tell you this not to brag, but to clarify something for Mrs. Reese. He looked directly at Viviana. You called my daughter middle class like it was an insult. You laughed at her. You made her feel small. And you did all of this because you thought she had no one to defend her. The church was dead silent. You were wrong. Ashley watched Viviana's face crumble. Watched Cadence sink lower in her pew. Watched Beckham Spencer suddenly find his shoes fascinating. Mark stepped forward. Mr. Guzman. I think there's been a misunderstanding. There hasn't. You're $2 million in debt. You lied to my daughter. And you were planning to use her as a cover for your failures while your mother controlled every aspect of her life. Joseph's voice never rose, but it cut like steel. The only misunderstanding was Ashley thinking you were worth her time. Ashley touched her father's arm. That's enough. Joseph looked at her, surprised. They're not worth any more of our time, Ashley said. She turned to the congregation. I'm not marrying Mark because I deserve better, because I won't spend my life being grateful for scraps of respect. Because the people who matter, my mother, my students, my friends, they already know my worth. She looked at Mark. I hope you figure out yours. Then she turned and walked out of the church, her mother on one side, her father on the other, leaving 300 people in stunned silence. 6 months later, Ashley stood in front of her third-grade class, helping a student with long division, when her phone buzzed. A text from Joseph. Board approved the foundation. First 3 schools launching next month. Your mother is making me eat quinoa. Send help. Ashley smiled. Her life hadn't transformed overnight. She still taught, still lived in her apartment, still took the subway. But now, twice a week, she had dinner with her father. Once a month, she worked with his team on education initiatives. And every day, she woke up knowing she'd chosen herself. That was worth more than any wedding. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. This is Mark. I'm in therapy. You were right. About everything. I'm sorry. Ashley read it, then deleted it. Some chapters needed to stay closed. If the story hit different, hit that subscribe button. We post new stories every week about people who chose themselves over settling. Drop a comment. Would you have walked out of that church? Let me know below.